It's Eddie's Eddie Murphy Movies Month here on HMP, and this week, Eddie teams up with another SNL alum to deliver 1982's take on The Prince and the Pauper. Welcome to Half-Ass Movie Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Half-Ass Movie Podcast, the show where we put together a half-ass theme as an excuse to watch movies. My name is Adam Portress, and joining me today, he's not an angel dust dealer. He's Sweet Sean Kovacs from the internet.
I have turkey this close to Thanksgiving.
And I forgot to turn up your volume, but that's okay. And he is a karate man, Bruce Leslie.
Yes, Kimosabi.
All right, everybody, welcome back. We are live here on YouTube, Kick, and Twitch, everybody. So thank you to those who have come out on this live stream and everything. We'd like to hear from you folks as well. If you're listening to this on a regular podcast device, man, we want to let you know that we got a YouTube channel up, and we'll be doing a live stream and stuff like that throughout here. So we're very, very excited to be adding a video element to the show. And everyone is going, these guys look like this? Question mark? No, we do, right? Well enough.
I don't know what to say to that, Portress. What do you want me to tell you?
You're supposed to say Bruce is the handsomest of us all. That's what I was aiming for, but nobody took the bait. All right, fair enough.
I had to go to therapy to stop lying to people, okay?
It was on the tip of my tongue, but I also been going to therapy, so I held it in.
Well, fear not, everybody. Now, last week, we watched Eddie's big screen debut in 48 hours. This week, we're right back on that trail with a movie that would come out just 1 year later. Team him up with another SNL vet, the director of Animal House. You put all those things together, boys, and what do you get? A $90 million worldwide box office. By the way, that's $83. I calculate because at first I thought that's not that much money. I calculated it up for today's money, around $300 million in today's money.
And it should. This movie is so well made, well acted, well written. Like everything about this movie is pretty bloody perfect when you are in the middle of middle age, like we are.
Mm-hmm.
Like this movie is bloody perfect.
We'll get all of that and everything as well. Before we do that, like I said, head on over to patreon.com/HMP. You get pre-show, post-show, Dinger Zone. This week's Dinger Zone, since this movie this week is directed by John Landis, we did our top 5 John Landis films and everything. What was it? Schlock was at number 1 for everybody, right?
I full confession here. I've never seen Schlock.
I don't think you ever will, Sean. I really don't.
It's not the easiest. It's pretty low budget, but we'll talk because this movie's got a little bit of connection to that and stuff. But we'll talk about that momentarily. So do all that kind of good stuff, everybody, and of course we also have our super chats in our YouTube here and everything. And if you do those are called Fortress Bucks, as Sean did. What would we call that? Christened them last week and everything. So if you have one of those, drop that in there, and we'll read all of those comments at the end of the program and stuff as well. So have your voice heard. I know there's so many people that listen to this show week after week and go and they're screaming crap at their podcast device of choice and everything, which is everyone's phone these days. Let's be honest. But they're looking at their phone and they're screaming back at it. Now you can actually scream at us on the internet. All the links will be in the show notes. So appreciate all you guys on that one, man. Boys, we're in our second Eddie Murphy here. You guys were big fans of this growing up and everything. I was 1 year old when this movie came out, so you can imagine I wasn't going to see it.
Well, I was too young to see this movie when it first came out too, quite honestly. I mean, this is not a movie that you take a 6-year-old to go see.
Well, you shouldn't, at least, that's for sure.
Sure. But it is one of those movies, though, that once you are of my age and you learn just how much you love Eddie Murphy, you will eventually find this movie. And for some reason, like I was telling you off air, Portress, this is one of those movies where, like, for some reason, I was always mixing it up with 48 Hours because this movie, the beginning of this movie takes its time, but once you get into this movie, it's flying, man. And in 48 Hours, it takes its time. It sets a mood. Like if Eddie Murphy isn't in that movie, it's not even a comedy. This movie is straight up awesome comedy, and they were just super lucky to get Eddie Murphy for this.
And it's a genuine example of there's never a dull moment. I mean, I'm kind of surprised when I watch it now how much I liked this when I was too young to really be liking this. I mean, intrigue on the commodities markets wasn't something I was really into. But and also I didn't realize how many chowder buckets were in this because I was a fan of this movie at too young of an age considering the chowder bucket count. But it just stuck with me for years. Unlike a lot of the other movies where I think I've seen them and I haven't, or I don't remember the details. This is one I hadn't seen in a while, but I still remembered pretty much the entire first 2 acts.
This is one of those that, like, I know that I've seen like little tiny bits and pieces of on television forever, but it was one of those like, have I even seen this all the way through it at one point? And perhaps that I have, but if I had, it'd been a long time since I had. So I was interested coming back into this. That's another reason, especially right hot off the heels of 48 Hours. You kind of, or at least I was going into it asking myself, like, how much would Eddie really have changed from one movie to the other? And we'll kind of get into all that. But let's do this first, boys.
One of the things I want to bring up, since you've said this, Fortress, is that I think that you are in the weird no man's land age-wise of Eddie Murphy, where, like, you know him before Nutty Professor, and you know that he's in stuff, and you probably even like him in a bunch of those movies, but your first taste of him is not Nutty Professor. It's probably more than likely Beverly Hills Cop, right? That's probably the first thing you saw him in.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And so, like, you are like, there's like an age of like 2 to 3 years, really, where you, Eddie Murphy was never the coolest guy in the world, like he was for Bruce and I. For Jesus, it feels like 10 years.
When you're young, a year feels a lot longer than it was, but it does feel like he had his whole era.
Yeah.
Like, and he picked up, like, Richard Pryor kind of did his thing, and then Eddie Murphy took the torch and ran with it.
Yeah.
And you're right. By the time of Nutty Professor, Eddie was such a commoditized person. Like, like it was, even then, it was like, oh, a legend is coming in and doing this kind of thing. Like, this is a guy who'd been in it forever at this point. And so, like, he'd already amassed that bit of a legend and stuff like that. So it made nothing but sense. But, you'd seen enough of them on there, but that was, of course, the big era, for me and everything. And an awesome era because he's going through and doing a gajillion different characters. It's called, if you love Eddie, 90s Eddie's probably the best because Eddie's going off the wall and is everywhere and demands to be in all of the things and all of the characters and all of the things, which is great.
Unless his back is turned to the camera, then you got to get an extra to do that.
Well, yeah. We put this dummy in some, stuff a little cotton in the head. It's fine.
I don't know how much was in the script and how much was actually kind of improvised on the spot, but Eddie has a great way of delivery with a bunch of just like add-on comments, little tags here and there that it really feels like he's doing his own coloring of the story a lot when he's.
Well, he was certainly doing that in 48 Hours. And I like, there are certainly spots in here where you're just like, that is 100% Eddie just kind of going off. But we'll talk about it as well. There's a couple times where I believe that he's going off and just kind of, doing the Eddie rant. Yeah. But he's also making some choices. We'll talk about that later as well, because I think that's pretty important.
And I don't know if it's fair, unfair, or if it's like right on target for what it should be. But I feel like Dan Aykroyd's contributions to this movie get forgotten because we think, or at least for me, I think of this as such an Eddie Murphy picture that I forget just how much Dan Aykroyd's in it.
Aykroyd's awesome in this, man. And not only is he awesome in it, he's also a good teammate to have in a movie. There's something about Aykroyd that when he has the right person next to him, he's one of the best when it comes to that, right? Like, you think about him in, like, even something really bad like Spies Like Us. He's still really good in that movie, even though he's up like his scene partner is one of the worst people alive, and he's still making it kind of work. So when he's bouncing off of somebody like a Belushi, or like Aykroyd is here, or like Eddie Murphy is here, where Eddie Murphy is also giving Aykroyd, like, his moment to shine as a performer. It's just like watching two guys who just get it, man. And it's really spectacular watching them in the same room.
Aykroyd likes having somebody to play with, I suspect.
Yeah, and he hates being himself. So whenever you see Aykroyd in a movie where he's kind of supposed to be playing a normal person, that movie is usually not very good, right? Maybe like even something like think about him in like something like Driving Miss Daisy, right? Where like now I'm a proper Southern gentleman.
Exactly.
You know, like even that performance isn't Dan Aykroyd.
No.
Like he's not playing a real person in that movie, and that's totally fine, and it worked for that role.
What about in My Girl? Was that the name of that movie?
Yeah.
With Anna Klumsky and the guy from Home Alone. I can't remember his name right now. I'm sorry.
Klumsky. He gets Klumsky.
Klumsky, but not Macaulay Culkin. Okie dokie.
Oh, yeah, that's it. Kieran Culkin. But that one was one where I thought was maybe close to him being a real person, but he still kind of got the rural funeral home director.
Right.
Yeah, he throws on an accent because, like, and again, he's not as bad, but I feel like there's a chance, at least on screen wise, he's kind of like De Niro is like, I just got to be somebody else that ain't me.
Well, when he's like having a sandwich in a movie, like something like him and Tommy Boy or him in Grosse Point Blank, he immediately goes to like blue collar Chicago.
I'm a dum-dum.
And he's not that guy either.
No.
So like seeing him play these roles and like or like even in Trading Places, man, in Trading Places, he's basically being like upper crust New England, like Atlantic kind of accent that he's doing, where it's like, you know, like maybe 5 people in the world have that accent, but some people in real life do.
That was going to be my comment, is that accent and some of his line delivery, particularly in the first act of this movie, really seems more in line with the sketch than it does with the film, if that makes sense. But it's like you're really trying to take some shortcut to I'm the rich twerp here. And it took me a minute to get comfortable with it. It just felt a little too much there in the beginning.
Well, he is laying it on thick, man, at the beginning for sure.
Definitely is.
All right, here's the IMDb plotline for Trading Spaces. As we know, IMDb always 100% correct in everything they say and or do. Let me put this up on the screen so it's, you know, an actual thing. I should have been doing this while I was... That's my fault. Here we go. A snobbish Wall Street commodities broker and a wily street hustler find their positions reversed as part of a bet by 2 callous millionaire brothers who run a brokerage house. This is written by Timothy Harris and Herschel Wingard. Wingard? Maybe. I don't know. They wrote together Brewster's Millions, Twins, Kindergarten Cops 1 and 2. And of course,
they wrote 2?
They wrote both of them. I thought maybe they'll get a story, like a character by credit. Nope, they wrote that one too. And
they don't
Space
have to
Jam.
tell people that.
They only got a credit for Space Jam 2, like a characters by kind of credit for Space Jam 2. But they did write the first one. So directed by John Landis, who of course did Blues Brothers, An American Werewolf in London, Thriller, Spies Like Us, Three Amigos, Beverly Hills Cop 3, and his crowning achievement, The Stupids with Tom Arnold. Anybody ever see that one? I did.
I've seen maybe 10 minutes of it and was like, no, thank you.
That is all the more you need to see. And remember, you can check out our Dinger Zone episode that we just dropped talking about our top 5 John Landis films. So go check that out over there at the Dinger Zone, patreon.com/HMP. Links are in the show notes. This is starring Dan Aykroyd, Eddie Murphy, Ralph Bellamy, Don Amici, Dellum Elliott, and Jamie Lee Curtis. Pretty stacked cast here for the time, I'd say, yeah?
Let me ask you guys something. Is at the time that this movie is being made, she's not exactly at the top. She's making final list. Is there a hotter human being on earth than Jamie Lee Curtis? Believably gorgeous when they're shooting.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
At this time, this kind of is her power.
Still looking good in
That is true.
8 or whatever this was.
That is true. It's unreal, man. Like it's bewitching when you see her, because when you first see her, she's got the dumb wig on and the fur coat and stuff, and it's like, there's old Jamie Lee Curtis. And then when they get back to the apartment, I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, first it's like, oh, this pure 80s that's going on here. This is I'm gonna have a hard time looking at her through this entire film. The hair comes off, and you're like, oh, thank God.
The thing about Jamie Lee too is like I wasn't really that into her in Halloween, where now you're kind of led to think of the Scream Queen as being a little bit of a salacious treat for the male gaze, but and that's Gaze. But anyway, she really, really grew on me pretty quickly after that. But yeah, this movie's got to be a big part of that because I can't think of a lot of Jamie Lee Curtis movies I was watching during those.
Here's the funny part, though. Like, as much as we often think of Jamie Lee Curtis in the Laurie Strode role and everything, to Jamie Lee's own admittance and everything, she was the exact opposite of that character. She was just like, I was the party girl. I was not the shy one who was like, I was having a good time. She was like, I was out there doing stuff. So this, not to say that she's a lady of the night, but this is more probably in line with what her actual personality was like, which is just a little bit snarky, a little bit kind of fun and stuff like that. That's what it feels like. This feels more like what she would actually be as opposed to Laurie.
Have either of you guys seen the behind the scenes doc that they shot when they released the DVD of this movie?
I haven't.
It's one of the most bananas things you'll ever see is Dan Aykroyd talking into a live camera. He's saying, when Jamie Lee Curtis, of course, is in this movie, and Jamie Lee Curtis is, she's absolutely hysterical and she's funny. Oh, and she also has the best rack in all of Hollywood. And I'm quoting there, and I'm thinking to myself, sir, you are saying this into a live camera. Like, what are you thinking, dude? And it's like, it's not even like it's not even the 80s. It's like the late 90s when they did the DVD for this. And it made me laugh so hard. It made me laugh so hard when he said
that. Yeah. I mean, it was a different time. I guess in his mind, it was still that time and not the 90s. I mean, you got to figure once you've been, you're the only guy who went blackface in the movie. You kind of like, people are going to be complaining about things other than your rack comment.
That is true. You are absolutely right. And I don't know about you guys. I always forget that there's the blackface scene in this movie until it comes up and it's like, oh, there it is. That's right.
Totally unneeded too. He could have been a German exchange student or Australian, anything with an accent, and let Eddie Murphy be Jamaican if they have to have a Jamaican. But of course, we're getting way ahead of the story of the film.
Which was the style at the time. I mean, like, that's the only thing that it feels like. It's just like, hey, listen, that's just what we did back then, okay? Like, oh boy.
But with this and with 48 Hours last week, which I watched, even with the last minute I wasn't able to join the show, it's interesting for me to see him working on these future characters in these future movies, because I saw a little bit of Beverly Hills Cop in 48 Hours.
Yeah.
Obviously, the exchange student character that he plays when they've all got their Spirit Halloween costumes, that guy, I think, there's no mystery what character grew out of that into a pretty successful movie with, I think, the same director.
I don't know.
I think Landis might have directed Coming to America, but
yes.
He does. Yes.
I was trying to figure out what he was talking about for a second. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
The African Prince movie. Is there more than one?
Well, I mean, that it didn't click or something like that.
It's fine.
It's also
I don't speak clearly.
It's also the least interesting character Eddie Murphy plays in that movie.
Also true. I like how we see the rich and poor sides of Philly as the credits kind of unfold there and everything, letting you know what's up. We're really kind of throwing some projection out here for you, just going, this is what this movie's going to be like. Here's the rich people. Here's the poor people.
I think the first thing I really misremembered or remembered incorrectly about this movie is I always thought it was in Chicago. I always think of the Mercantile Exchange in Chicago, but I guess there's more than one. And when I was watching it this time and started realizing it was in Philadelphia, I really had a little bit of a crisis about why did I not remember this? Or even worse, why did I remember so clearly that it was in Chicago? Also, I thought that Don Amici was Jack Lemmon for about 15 years.
Hey, listen, I could see that. I could see how one might make that mistake. I like, though, Dan Aykroyd. He's so rich. He's got a guy that will shave him every day, but he looks like he's about 2 weeks away from needing a haircut. Like he's already going past. It's like, why couldn't you just trim up the back of that neck a little bit there, bud?
Man,
It's kind of interesting too to see what the 80s thought rich people were like.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, I don't think that many rich people really do enjoy wearing a lot of formal clothing when they're the only ones in their house with their butler, and I don't know that playing tennis is what I would do if I had.
I don't
wealth.
listen. I know at least they may not be super rich people, but I know some like fashion people and stuff like that. Some of them cats do that. They wear some really nice stuff around the house you wouldn't suspect people would be wearing around the house. It's weird, but it does happen there. Now, I would say this,
in my
though.
Shrek onesie 23 hours a day.
I will say, if I was like him, though, I probably, like, I watched this going, I don't know, maybe I might be like this guy, too, because if after so many good mornings from my staff, I would stop talking with people. It's like, I don't need a good morning from every single one of you. That's a little much.
Well, that's the problem, is that they're basically the reason I know you know this already, but I mean, it's because of the fear element. I mean, that's why they're doing it, because they have been told previously, you must address me and say good morning to me. Like, that clearly is the case there.
Yeah.
And it's another thing too, where it's like they're trying to show you the cloistered aspect of their lives and how the better half lives, even though I don't even think at the time that's how the better half lived. Even people who are from generational wealth, I don't
usually have their butler shaving them every morning.
Definitely not. I mean, that's kind of ridiculous.
And again, if you were getting the shave, you would also get the shave and the haircut as well. He would be doing all of one thing at once as opposed to just shaving. It's so weird.
We live in an era where we know limitless wealth makes people like Epstein and Diddy. So that's why this all seems so quaint and innocent and off target when you see it now.
He's got a manservant shaving him. Oh, never.
And it's the weirdest part too, that it's Brody. I couldn't get that out of my head, where I'm like, man, like he's a really great dry, like he has comedy, like timing, like no one, that guy. But man, when I see him in this movie, like at first all I see is Brody, and then it kind of goes away as the movie continues. But man, when he first shows up, I'm like, that guy gets lost in his own museum.
Speaking of getting lost, when Aykroyd comes in and to work there and everything to watch his stock ticker, did he just watch that all day long? We see him, like, he gets next to the clock, and then like we cut to, because these things close at the end of the day, right? So when they're closed and everything, so he, like, by the time of the end of the day, he packs up his briefcase. It doesn't even look like they just might as well have reversed the film. He didn't do anything. The entire desk looks the same. Your entire 8-hour day was just you looking at this tiny green and black monitor and everything. Is that what we're just suggesting is going on? That drove me bananas.
Isn't that part of the stab they're taking at the wealthy in this movie, and that kind of 80s mentality? It's like, yeah, they've got all this money and don't even do anything for it. Of course, they kind of play against their own rules. You may not know this about me, but sometimes I'll notice if a movie doesn't play by its own rules. But they get real worried about the price of pork bellies, the commodities prices, when we first meet the Duke brothers.
Mm-hmm.
But then later on, they say, you know, they make their money whether their clients win or lose, which is what's the dirtiest thing about people like hedge fund managers and fund managers, is they really make their money just by being there and not by being good at it. And, you know, I think it would be funny if when they, you know, sort of like when he broke the vase and he's like, yeah, but we insured it for more than it's worth. So you actually made us money. I think it'd be funnier if they blew $300 million or $300,000 and said, boy, I'm glad it wasn't our money. And then drove off and ate some Grey Poupon.
Speaking of their money, I love how tight they are, even with like a $5 tip for his staff there. And this guy just wants to spit on them so bad.
Oh, that's from both of us.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like my half's in there too.
God.
But you got to remember, adjusted for inflation, that's almost $20 now.
That's true. That is true. I didn't think about it that way, but that's when because we'll get to a little bit more money in the end of this here. But that is true. It's like that's a lot more than we suspect it is.
Oh, get the hell out of
Compared
here.
to inflation, 4 times. It's 4 times as much as we thought. See,
I'm sandwiched between someone who has who's done very well for themselves and a guy who thinks the free market is the best way to run a
Scrape
society.
it in nickels. What are we doing?
No. You don't get it. It was $5, but that's 1982 or 1983 $5, which is really actually kind of get that stuff.
Well, more so than the 5 of today.
It wasn't just a tip though. It was his Christmas bonus.
That's
what really got me.
That's true.
That's not even worth Jelly of the Month Club. I mean, if we're going to just keep it in the same era.
Yeah, that was like at least $60 worth of something right there for when you're doing one of those.
Yeah, you don't get jelly for less than $1 a jar, so at least $12 went into Jelly of the Month.
Now, what's the difference between squash and racquetball? Because I can never figure that out. Is there a difference?
Squash uses a different type of racket and a different type of ball, different dimensions. I think squash might move a little slower than racquetball.
Yes. Yes, you're absolutely right. Squash is slower than racquetball.
And I think squash is the sort of thing, wealthy people I know everything about wealthy people. You have to understand this. All my judgments.
I know these people.
But, they love sports that nobody else knows the rules to, so they never have to lose. That's why they play polo and squash and, I don't know, maybe water polo.
Backgammon. No one knows how to play backgammon except for rich people. And either rich people or poor people, backgammon. No in the middle. No middle-class people know how to play backgammon.
Yeah, I was going to say backgammon is like either played in a mansion or a prison and nowhere else.
What do you guys think about old Eddie doing his I've got no legs grifting?
Oh my God, man. It is so great. And what he adds to it, this is one of those moments where you can really feel the Eddie Murphy-ness. Like, look, we brought in Eddie Murphy. Let's get our money's worth. Like, that's what this entire scene is about, man. Because you know that they basically had that Jimmy Walker note on the script of blah, blah, blah. This happens, and Eddie is funny. Like, that's literally in that. It's got to be in the script, man.
And the best part to me, I mean, it's when he gets busted and he just does not miss a beat into going into, it's a miracle. I've been cured. Thank you, Jesus. That really cracked me up when I was 12 years old. And I still laugh at the same kind of things I laughed at when I was 12 years old.
My note is that would be exactly how I would handle that situation, where I would just, like, if I got caught grifting just like this, it would just be like, this is a miracle. And you just kind of keep trying to walk away and just say, can't believe it. What a world we're living in. And just hope somebody buys it until you just get to scamper away just like he did. It makes nothing.
The problem is that none of us are Eddie Murphy.
No,
and
I just
Eddie
meant
Murphy
real
is
life.
literally the only human being who could probably get away with that.
And he just does not stop, man. His mind just keeps going there, and he's just ripping off new things left and right, and he won't take no for an answer. Similar when he bumps into Dan Aykroyd and he starts calling for the cops, and he's like, "I don't want your bag." I love the way that he just flies off with the delivery, man. He got where he was because he deserved it at the time.
Yeah.
Did he lose his edge when he got older? Who wouldn't? We all get older. We all fade a little bit. We all can get soft if we get rich. But boy, he got where he was because he deserved it. I don't doubt that a bit.
I mean, it's the thing that I've been telling you guys off air is that, like, I was so afraid that I had lost my fastball as a comedy writer. And I mean, just look at Landis's career and you can see, this guy totally had lost his fastball at some point. And same with Aykroyd and same with Eddie Murphy. And it's like, that's what happens over time. But my God, when you're seeing them in their prime, especially Eddie Murphy, like, good Lord, man, so on point. And that, like, it's the thing that I said about 48 Hours last week. The filmmakers know what they have with this guy, and instead of fighting it, instead of like, you know what, no, we need to make the movie we're making, not an Eddie Murphy movie, they just lean into it, which is exactly what they should have been doing, and they did.
Yeah, it feels like, especially with this one, as compared to 48 Hours, they let him go, they let him spread his wings. And what's cool too is, like you said, Bruce, they kind of keep letting him go and everything, and there is a lot of, like, really solid ADR for all of his ad libs and stuff like that. That stuff's great. It's just
Oh,
quality
I didn't
sounding.
pick up on that.
It's as quality sounding as of a performance as he would have been giving on the street. And so many times in ADR, you can hear the difference between this isn't on the same day. This sounds like it's being done there because Eddie's into it.
Eddie's got that history of stand-up performing, 8 shows a week probably for several months on end before he gets to this point. So he's got that down. I am kind of curious how many times they had to take, had to do another take because people were breaking. Like with him going on like that, I could see Frank Oz, who's playing a cop, probably breaking a little bit.
I don't know. I think some of
jokes like this guy.
I think some of these guys are probably some of your better dudes at not breaking. I would suspect.
I mean, especially if you're day playing on a movie, it's kind of your job not to.
Yeah.
And so when they come into this thing, they've already been prepped. Like, listen, this is what's going to happen. You need to roll with it. We don't want to waste any footage at all. Don't you dare break.
Now, I can tell you the time that I think that probably did have the most breaking on this, and that is in the jail cell when we meet a very young Giancarlo Esposito.
11-year-old.
Oh, my goodness. Esposito. Look at the small girl he was then.
He's just a tiny. It's at the same time, too, though, because we know how tiny he is, and we can then juxtapose Eddie Murphy to him.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, how tiny is Eddie Murphy? Like, we thought he was tiny last week. When you compare him to Giancarlo Esposito, who is already a tiny man, he's even tinier. It's unreal.
It's true.
So little. But great to see him. But I could see if there was any time where there was a lot of breaking and stuff, I would bet it would be in this scene with these 4 guys just, dicking about.
Yeah, because some of the cameos here, you got people like Bo Diddley and football players and stuff. They're not. I don't think breaking would be out of the question for those guys.
No. Well, but that's different, man. I mean, those are famous people, but like Giancarlo Esposito, when he's in this scene, there is no way that they're going to let him laugh.
He looks a little concerned there in that picture.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a concerned fella. He's like, who's this crazy man who says that he's rich and all this other stuff while he's in there? So
right, and a karate champion.
Bruce Lee.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, by the way, I love that jacket too. He got a great jacket in this one.
This one here?
This one, yeah. The one with the brown with the giant lapels here and everything. Aykroyd's got a jacket. We'll talk about that one later too. Mm-hmm. Well, it's a little bigger than all of that, I would say. It looks like an Empire jacket if you think about it, because like everybody in the Empire and Andor had these big giant ass lapels like this. So
true.
It's close to that. But we get him out of jail, and then we get him with our with our old timers here that run the exchange and all that.
The Duke brothers.
Fantastic, both of these guys.
They look a lot like Statler and Waldorf from the Muppets in this particular picture you put up.
In the live-action version.
Man,
the Muppets that you were all asking for.
Waldorf.
Absolutely, dude. Those dudes are awesome, man.
I am so surprised with Don Ameche in this movie, because Don Ameche, I always think of him. I don't know how you guys think of him, but I always think of him as like kind of a stuck-up actor. Just because of all the work that he did in the 40s and 50s, like he's probably one of the biggest stars in Hollywood at that point, maybe, if I'm remembering correctly. And so for him to be in this movie, and one of the things they talk about in the in the oral history of this movie is that Landis insisted on Ameche being in this movie. And basically people are like, well, why are you so hot for this guy being in it? And he's like, look, he was a huge star in the 40s and 50s. He would be great for this. And he agrees to do it. And then they're asking him, she's like, what made you agree to do it? And he said, I haven't gotten a call in 14 years. I'm doing dinner theater. Like, that's literally the reason why I'm doing this movie, is for that reason.
And the way he looks changed a lot from when he was. I mean, everybody changes when they get older, but I mean, he really looks like a totally different person now. He doesn't have that kind of a different type of sinister look that he had when he was younger, and his face was fuller. And that's part of why I didn't think this guy was Don Ameche when I'd seen it in the past, because he just doesn't seem like that sort of stereotype Don Ameche kind of guy. He does not seem suave at all in this. I'll say that.
This is literally what John Landis said on casting Don Ameche. Well, I needed someone who was a movie star in the 40s who had never really played a villain, and I was thinking, hey, what about Don Amici? And the casting woman said, Don Amici's dead. And I said, I don't think so. I would know if Don Amici is dead.
Oh, he did, though. We know that. Yeah, these guys are great. I thought that they played just the right level of, mustache twirling without going too over the top, which is great.
Yeah.
And it's, I love the pork scene where they're like trying to explain to him how commodities work and everything. So, but before we even say that, I mean, let's just talk of the easy one. This is, the Prince and the Pauper.
Yeah.
Just kind of exchanging these two, guys up here and everything. Now, I forget what the original story. There wasn't a bed involved with that one, was there?
Yes, there is.
Or was that one? I always forget because I
thought the two kids traded places on purpose. I don't remember the story very well. Was that Mark Twain, the Prince and the Pauper?
I don't.
Yes.
All I remember is the Mickey Mouse version.
I might be mixing that up with the Yankee and King Arthur's Court. I might be mixing that up.
I think that's him for sure on that one. But this that one, I don't know enough about the history.
I'm not learned.
That's why I'm a movie guy. You know what I mean?
It was a Connecticut Yankee like you, Sean.
I know. You'd think I'd know better,
but
especially since Mark Twain. We all had to go to his house as a field trip in elementary.
It wasn't one of those loser Red Sox Connecticut people.
How dare you? How dare you? If I could,
I'd
steal all your swords.
I take it back.
The weird part is like, in order to steal all the swords, you probably need to have at least one sword with which to, go against. What did you say? 7 swords you got there?
I'm a man of honor. I would give him the lightsaber.
I give him one just on account of he needs a little break.
This Irish fool brought 7 swords to a gunfight.
Big mistake. I love how we decide to frame Aykroyd here and everything.
Oh.
It's is this how internal investigations work? They just bring everybody in and parade it all around and end his entire life over what, $300?
Yeah, I do like it that in this world of extreme wealth, anybody's even uptight about somebody stealing a few 50s out of a pocket.
Well, it's just the principle of it for rich people, right? I mean,
you don't want them 50s taken. Take them out of the pocket before you check your coat, Grandpa.
Yeah, why'd you keep them in a coat like that? That seems like a mistake on your part. You need to pay your bill at the end of the night.
Think about it like this, like fast food restaurants that throw all their food in the dumpster at the end of the night, instead of just leaving that out for people who would like the food. Like there's something about like, no, you can't eat that. That's garbage now.
Yeah.
We can't let you eat. And it's like, what are you talking about, dude? Just give it to the people who want it. What are you talking about?
Stomp it on the ground. That's how you.
I've eaten some KFC out of a dumpster. It's nice.
And that was just last week. Weird how it works.
I can see Bruce out of the dumpster like, man, KFC's really gone down in quality, you guys.
What? No coleslaw left over?
You're eating it out of a dumpster.
If the Colonel weren't being cryogenically frozen right now, he'd be rolling over in his grave.
And the irony is that I now am a Kentucky Colonel. I've come far in life.
Speaking of having a badge, Frank Oz comes in as our irate cop here and everything. Awesome.
It's weird, man, because he's in Blues Brothers as well, and he has kind of the same role. Is he supposed to be the same guy? Because he's naming things off again, like he does in the Blues Brothers movie. He's just naming the things that are on his person.
I could see that because I kept waiting for him to say one prophylactic used,
Right.
because it's the same tone. And I was like, is that from this movie? And then I remembered it was Blues Brothers. But is there a story about like Landis and Oz seem like people that wouldn't necessarily be in the same entertainment circle, but clearly they have a relationship? Is there a story like did Landis direct an episode of Sesame Street or something?
I have no idea where it comes from, but it seems like there's a big pack of those guys who went to, where did they go? UCLA, USC?
One of those.
One or the other. Which one?
One of those. I don't. I always
I'm
forget which
thinking
one went to
USC,
what.
but I know that's where Spielberg and Lucas and Carpenter went, so that's why I always think USC.
And so it would make sense that like Frank Oz and like all of those guys, although Children's Television Workshop is in New York. So anyway, it doesn't matter. I think that it's kind of one of those things where all of those people were talking to each other at one point. It's not like it is now.
That's true. It was a smaller world then in a lot of ways.
Also true.
We get Eddie going back to the bar there and everything and showing all the people back in the neighborhood. I love this scene because he's just kind of coming in. And like this is exactly what this character would do.
Absolutely.
He'd get all of his, like, he's been brought in and kind of read in on all this stuff. You got this big bank account now. And again, I would think that this character would do, he takes to it like a fish to water, right? He's just like, oh yeah, I got this kind of, attitude that I can swing along here and everything. And he spreads it all around there at the bar, leading in then to the house party. But I also like how the guys that he was in jail with are at the bar and go and call him out on not being rich. It's like, you're bullcrap. You're not rich. You got a limousine. And at the time, which was great because he was talking absolute shit in the, in the jail there and everything, had none of this stuff, but was talking a big giant game and sure shooting. He's got all of that stuff now available to him and can just wave it in front of everybody. And he becomes the most popular guy, on the strip, as you might imagine. And then we get into that house party.
Invites everybody back. That's more like what I imagine rich people do every night or whatever. But he very, very quickly starts to care about his humble abode there when it's not even his. Like, he doesn't even think of it as his. He's trying to steal stuff out of his own house. And the way that Dan Aykroyd's Witherspoon was kicked out of there, it really isn't his. So I was kind of surprised at how quick he started to get concerned about, like, a cigarette butt on the carpet, not using a coaster, that sort of thing.
Well, he also realizes is like, oh man, if you got money, people could take advantage of you, like all of these people clearly are.
That's one of the things about this movie. Thank you for bringing this up, Bruce, is that the names of our two main characters in this movie, is there a better name in movie history than Billy Ray Valentine?
It's great. It's
pretty awesome.
It works for so many different kinds of characters too.
It's so good. It's just so good. And also with Aykroyd's character, his name is
Lou?
Man, why am I blanking on his name?
Starts with an L, doesn't it?
I just
written it down somewhere.
I just know the last name, I guess.
What's the last name?
Isn't he Witherspoon?
No.
Oh, I thought he was Witherspoon.
No, it's man, I'm blanking on his anyway. But Billy Ray Valentine is such a great name for this character. Like, I don't think you could name this character better. It's just incredible. What they say to each other? They're like, looking good, Billy Ray, feeling good.
It's Winthorpe. I'm sorry, I said Witherspoon, but it's Louis Winthorpe III.
That's right.
You always got to have a number after your name if you're in an 80s.
You're
movie,
blue blood. You must be of stock.
I knew it was the name of a college here. I just couldn't remember what the name of that college was here in Atlanta. I couldn't remember.
Casual topless dancing at your party, like you do,
man, and not great. Like, not sexy topless dancing. It's just like very utilitarian.
You weren't turned on by that?
No.
It's like the contract requires us to take our shirt off, but we're not going to let you enjoy it.
Right. I mean, it's the most non-sexual nudity you've ever seen in your life.
We're having a good time, guys.
They do pick weird times to expose breasts, because later on in the movie, when Aykroyd's character's sick and she's just climbing into bed to take care of him, she still needs to be topless. Like, I think that would give me a whole nother problem to worry about.
Oh no.
Did you guys remember that this was set during the holidays? I always forget about that.
I only remember it because I remember Dan Aykroyd in a nasty, dingy Santa costume. In fact, I thought that was in the movie poster. Like, I thought the movie poster was him in that Santa costume with Eddie Murphy putting his arms around him. And that's just like one of those formed memories because you just find that particular costume iconic. But that's a long way for me to say, yeah, I remembered it was at Christmas.
Now, as per the rules, ladies and gentlemen, This movie just takes place during Christmas, not a Christmas movie, because nothing in the movie hinges upon Christmas at all. It just happens to be.
As a matter of fact, they go through Christmas and it's a non-event in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, everybody might as well be Jewish in this because we skip over Christmas real fast.
Yeah, I mean, it goes straight to New Year's on the train, right? I mean,
there's one point where they say something about you're not actually going to work on Christmas Eve.
Right.
That's as close as you get to
there's no
having something with
presents.
that.
There's no like Santa's ringing bells on the corner. Clearly was not filmed in Philly around Christmas time.
Christmas Eve was done, and they were like, all right, on to the next, fast forward 2 months.
And in movies, like, was this a thing? Because I've never been to a New Year's Eve party like this, but in movies, they seem to treat New Year's Eve like Halloween, like with all these costumes.
I think that's crap. I think that is a Hollywood, Hollywood manufacturing something because they just need it, because they need to have the joke of the gorilla.
Yeah.
And the a chance for everybody to do some kind of accent or impression when they all are playing characters from around the world, which they could just be playing themselves, honestly, other than Aykroyd, who's the one guy that Mr. What's his name from the Breakfast Club is going to recognize.
Yeah, he'd 100% recognize him here because it's like the worst costumes. And he's been following Eddie for a month.
Yeah.
So, I think you'd understand what this guy looks like. His hat is not going to be the thing that goes like, oh, shucks, he fooled me real good there. No.
Is there a better choice for Paul Gleason? Paul Gleason is like, do you just look at that guy and you're like, I just hate that guy so much. He's so well cast in the movies he's in. Mm-hmm. Where, I know him best as Dwayne T. Robinson, Chief of Police from Die Hard. I realize there's a whole section of people who think of him as the guy from the Breakfast Club. There's people who probably think of him as the guy who is being sexually assaulted by a gorilla from this movie. But it's one of those things where it's like, no matter what role you're going to put this guy in, if you want people to hate your character, just get Gleason, man. Like, get me Gleason on the phone immediately.
He's got a good, sour face that you like seeing remain sour. And yeah, you like seeing him just kind of have a problem coming at him. How
do you guys feel in general about Jim Belushi?
I'd say again.
Go ahead, Adam. I was talking over you. I can throw my piece in a little bit later.
No, that's okay. When Aykroyd gets out of jail and everything, the outfit that they give him, I love that jacket, that leather jacket with the furry collar there and everything. It's actually a long leather jacket and everything. I'm like, that jacket looks awesome. What are you talking about, lady? Why is she crapping on the jacket? So cool looking in this movie.
Definitely does make him look like a PCP dealer, though.
Jamie Lee Curtis shows up as a prostitute, and I wonder where do all the prostitutes in all of Hollywood? They all have mink coats, don't they? At least in this era.
Well, not only that, man, but it's the thing about with 48 Hours last week where we're in that prime time of like, listen, we need to get the most beautiful actresses we possibly can to play prostitutes in our comedy movie, because for years and years and years, I was led to believe that prostitutes were gorgeous.
And that they also had a heart of gold and would fall in love with you.
Mm-hmm. All you needed to do was just, rescue her from the horrid life that she's living and stuff like that. You'll just whisk her away and everything will be fine. No. And I don't know if this lady was a prostitute, but while I was driving to the gym today, I was at a stoplight and there was some lady. This doesn't normally happen in my town either. This is what was so kind of wild about it. Some lady was walking down the street and just kind of yelling stuff, and I was like, I got scared there for a minute. But that lady was much more like what prostitutes look like. Just, whatever you threw on at the house there, hair's messed up.
To ride somewhere, Adam?
Hell no, dude. I've done stuff like that in the past, and anytime I've tried to be a good Samaritan, it has come back and bite me in the ass.
I remember you telling me a story, picking up some guy, and then he asked you for money or something, or maybe he picked you up when your car was stuck. This was a Charlotte story.
I drove two people around in a snowstorm to go to their baby mama's house for no real reason, and then off to a 3-hour tour. What a waste, man. So Lewis shows up to this house and the butler doesn't know acts like he doesn't know his name. I love that bit where he's just like, "Who are you? What are you doing here?" It's like, "Oh, thank God." No, that is how he should have been instructed to act. Just ignore him.
Some S tier gaslighting right there.
And the PCP that was planted in that jacket, if we would, I don't know why I get like a little chuckle every time somebody calls him a heroin dealer and he says it wasn't heroin, it was PCP, instead of just saying no. Like he has to be accurate and correct. He's that uptight that he can't deny being a heroin dealer. He has to clarify it was PCP and then deny it.
A note I wrote down was there's a large clothespin sculpture rather, outside in this movie. Modern artists plagued us for decades. Will we ever be free of this junk? I think that's an accurate statement. You remember, like when it's in the background.
Modern art's great.
It's
some
so
modern art is great.
Some is fine.
I
but
love
like
the bean thing in Chicago.
That's different though. This is a
Yeah,
clothespin though.
See, whenever you make a blanket statement like that, Portress, like that's when you get in trouble. Whenever you make some big ass blanket statement about like all modern art sucks. Okay, your turn, everyone.
90%. All right.
I'm fond of clothespins.
You would be. Is
it one of like the old fashioned clothespins that are all one piece?
No, it's a snappy one with a spring. It's not good.
It is. It's the spring.
I'd rather be the old fashioned kind. Forget
Painted
it. I'm
black.
with Adam now.
It's no good. I did like at the time.
We've got a weird delay happening, right?
I think so. Maybe it's a little bit. Maybe
we've got a weird delay happening now,
guys. I think there's a delay.
Is there a delay? No, we're good. The few times though that Eddie looks right at the camera are hilarious. Aykroyd's are okay, but Eddie's fourth wall breaking's probably the best.
Eddie's is the best, man. It's not even close.
Finally, right at the BLT where he's just right at the lens. So good. Just buzzing it anytime that he possibly can.
Also, while we're talking about things from this movie, I want so desperately that poster that is in Jamie Lee Curtis's character's bedroom. It's a movie poster. And the movie is called See You Next Wednesday, starring Laurence Olivier.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't see that. It totally passed over my head.
I want that poster so bad. And here's the thing, man, is that like I went online to see like if I could buy that poster, and it has become some sort of a joke, like within like RuPaul's Drag Race or something, because everything is like that line is completely been stolen and hijacked by RuPaul and you know that like those folks. And so like it's one of those things where like I guarantee you RuPaul is a smart enough person that RuPaul saw that in this movie. It was like, yes, I'm totally taking that.
I could see it. And listen, you steal when you can.
An indie comic book writer who had a comic called See You Next Tuesday.
Again, Eddie does something amazing in this movie when he's doing his acting and everything. He's telling the guys about the pork belly and he's talking about screwing someone's wife, but he stops himself just before he says the F word. And again, just like we saw in 48 Hours, we're seeing that Eddie's thinking about his characters and evolving. And again, like I said previously, you can tell that feels like more of his kind of, they let Eddie go and everything. But when he gets to that point, he stops himself. He goes, nope, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say something that's, right or whatever. So I thought that was pretty great.
Mm-hmm. Make to your wife. Right. Pretty good. Most important scene in this movie to me is the scene where like because you need to make the plot make sense.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the scene where Billy Ray is trying to smoke the weed in the bathroom stall. And he's hiding in the bathroom stall, and the brothers come in, the Duke brothers come in, and and go off and say the incredibly nice things that they say about these two guys. And so so Billy Ray learns what the score is, and like, oh, we need to turn this around, right? What works so well about that scene to me is Eddie himself. The way that Eddie is playing that scene where at first it's funny, right? I'd say in the first half of that scene, it's really funny. And then once we get to the plot of it all, he starts to get concerned, and Donna meets, he starts throwing around the N-word.
He's like, whoa.
Then it's not ultimately mad. And it's in that moment right there when he decides like, oh, we need to figure out how to take these guys down. And I'm not smart enough to do it myself. I need to get the other guy. Like, that's a really great, really well done scene to me.
And he doesn't say anything. It's all just done with his reactions.
Right.
The bet's only for $1. To me, that's kind of where my biggest memories of the movie end, because that was like kind of at the time when I was young, when I first saw it, stuck with me for a while. But that was sort of the big twist or the big reveal. And then I couldn't really follow the plot, their revenge plot, didn't understand the markets that well when I was younger. So after that part, I sort of lost my, I guess, my attachment to the movie. But now I was able to follow it a whole lot, and I was kind of surprised how much movie was left after that point.
It is surprising.
There's a lot of movie left, and it oddly turns into Wall Street because it is the 80s, and like that is, it's going around.
Yeah. And also, for some reason, I always had it in my head that it was about the stock market, not futures, which is very different, a very different thing. But I think probably because of the floor scene, which when you see the behind the scenes stuff, they shot all of that in the World Trade Center, and 90% of the people in those scenes are actual traders.
That's what I was thinking while watching it. I was just like, most of these guys look like real dudes.
Yeah, they shot it in 2 days. In 2 days they were like on something like the 60th floor of the Trade Center, and it's one of those moments where it's like, oh, right, that building was so ugly. Like, I know that we all have fun memories for good reason of that movie or of that building, but like, it is a very ugly building when you're looking around in it.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, like, what do you think of the design of this kind of this area here with the red maroon carpet and whatnot, and all this kind of like, what do you think about just how everything looks? Because it looks good because it's the real thing. I mean, good, bad, you know what I'm talking about,
right? I mean, it's that modernist brutalist design, where like when the empire is around because they're using brutalist architecture. That's which probably doesn't bode well for America when like, oh, well, we're using Nazi propaganda and we're using your architecture, America, to show how bad the empire is. Anyway.
But we got a sunken living room here in our trade floor. So
that part is really cool. Like, that part is really cool. But like, just the brutalism of it all, and just how uninviting all of it is. And like, we don't care if this makes you feel sick because you've been in here for 8 hours. You're going to keep doing the work.
Like 45 angle windows and stuff like that. The open and like, I don't know. So there's something about the time and everything when all of that crap was designed and stuff that's just like really interesting.
Well, I don't know if you noticed this or not, but there's no windows in any of those scenes. There's not a single window.
That's
in there.
True.
It had to be awful to be in there. It had to be awful.
You can't have distractions for people that are buying orange juice.
Oof, everybody packed in there like sardines. That place got to stink.
Man, oh man, no kidding. Especially with all the day drinking that happened during that time and the drugs.
Everybody was still smoking, so like it's like everything is going on.
Everybody knows that the commodities traders don't have the same hygiene as the Walmart or the Wall Street guys.
I've been up for 2 days. Let's keep this train rolling. Like, all of that. Like, that's all there. There's no way that was a great place to be. No way.
Oh yeah, this movie actually also, it made me realize something in my life that I didn't know was missing, and because I didn't know it was a thing, but I do now. And I want to sit in an elevator. I don't know why. I'm just sitting there. I'm like, whoa, there's a bench in this elevator. For why? Number one. Number two, it's just like, I mean, I've gone up in some tall buildings before. I'll tell you this much. I never felt like going like, Jesus Christ, I got to sit down.
Enough.
You got to bring your own chair.
Normally I bring my own chair, but my workplace has accommodated me well enough with a bench, and it's big enough for at least 2 people to sit on.
It's like my dad always said, man, there's levels of rich, right? There's you know, you go up in an elevator, then the second level is that you're going up in an elevator with a bench, and the third version of this is you don't even need an elevator. Somebody will go up in the elevator for you.
Someone else is doing this work. Thank you very much. Is
I've
Dan
always wanted
Aykroyd
to ride in a fancy elevator? You know, because in movies they really make it seem like a whole experience with a guy that pushes the button for you, or even the ones where they have like the crank that the dude pulls and like the accordion bars that come in front. I always wanted to ride in something like that, but I always get your plain old. It could be a hotel elevator, no matter where I'm at.
Yeah, the only joy I get is when you get the ones that'll have you skip like the first 30 floors or something like that, because that's like that's a great little slingshot going. Fun stuff.
And yeah, I haven't been in very many that have that little trap door in the ceiling either, because I always wanted to die hard my way out of a
hell yeah, you do. You're a red-blooded American male, aren't you? Dan Aykroyd's costume for Santa, maybe the grossest costume ever.
Now I might have trouble.
Is the Santa costume gross?
I forget how it's like it's even worse than Bad Santa's Santa costume. Like it is so gross.
There's something that's even more gross about a Santa costume being filthy than any other kind of clothes. Like if you had a white fur coat that showed just as much filth on it, it still isn't as unsettling as the old Santa suit.
It's true.
Well, it's because, you know, we're inviting them to be around children. It's like you want someone that's going to be around your kids to be of upstanding character, and a dirty Santa is about as upstanding as you could possibly imagine, I would think. Good old.
In the behind the scenes, Aykroyd, he's like, well, you know, that character, once I put on the Santa costume, it really all kind of came together for me the second I put on the costume, because, you know, I've been inebriated enough times in my life, and you know, you put on that dirty Santa costume, it kind of does the acting for you. And so I think he's so great in all of those scenes with the Santa costume, man.
Do you think the costume department dirtied that up, or did they find an authentic, disgusting Santa?
Oh, get out of here. Get out of here. You already know the answer to that.
Disgusting. I do like him eating on the subway or on the bus there and everything, with just everything in his mouth, and it's just so super gross. It's great.
Gross. Just gross.
All right. We also got like I said, once we get on the big train there and everything, we get Jim Belushi there. So we got a Belushi and John Landis and an ape. Everything, like, we are going like Inception's level deep here on the man's filmography and everything, which is kind of fun.
The gorilla, when that gorilla shows up with Al Franken and is that Tom Davis?
Yeah,
they're both SNL writers, I think.
Yeah, Tom Davis.
Yeah, but when that gorilla shows up, that just seems so off the wall. And you know, like when I texted you guys, you know that this has to be a Chekhov's gorilla.
Oh, for sure.
That gorilla is so out of place. But I was really struggling because I didn't remember the third act as well as I did the first two. I was struggling to remember how the gorilla comes into play. It's a very 80s way that the gorilla comes into play. And I guess that leads me into the real question here, which is, how do you guys feel about Jim Belushi?
Well,
for some reason, I don't like him very much.
Okay, first of all, Jim Belushi is we've got John Belushi at home. It's not the same. It is not the same. And secondly, I'm sure you both you guys know this already, but this script was written for Wilder and Pryor. And
okay, yeah, I did not know that, but I see that now.
And the reason why they didn't make this movie, because, you know, I mean, it's a great script. There's no reason why neither one of them would say no to this, is because this is during the time when Pryor had burned himself horribly.
Okay, freebasing, yeah.
Yeah. And so when you watch this movie, for me anyway, maybe it's different for you guys, but for me, the only point where it feels like a Wilder movie is once they get on the train. You know, you have all of these, like we're all doing crazy voices. We've all got crazy costumes on. There's a gorilla in here.
There's nobody saying, hey, Jack, it's close,
guys.
though.
They're right, but I mean that's it. That's literally the only thing that's missing from the scene. I mean, you've even got like the moment in this movie where you've got the gay guy from Airplane, you've got Frank, and not one guy. You've got two guys in gorilla costumes of varying
qualities,
varying quality. Thank you. That feels like the most Wilder and Pryor thing I've ever seen in a movie that's not a Wilder and Pryor movie.
Yeah, there's a part of me though that wish Jim Belushi would have stayed in the gorilla costume.
Yeah,
he's the one who would have been assaulted.
Yeah, me too, man. I mean, just because of who that guy is. Like, listen, I'm going to coast off of my brother's genius for my entire life.
Yeah, pretty much. It's as sad as it can be. But I like, at the same time too, though, I love this the big giant ape and everything, because it's like Rick Baker is God making his own version of a gorilla, and you can see his touch within this gorilla, because you can look at it and you just go, I know Rick Baker made this. When you look at him, I don't know why. I don't know what the special sauce is, but it's 100% there. And again, that's the gorilla in here again is him saying, I want to work with Rick again. I want to get, Rick some work here and whatnot. And Rick has been making, monkey at this point for 30 years of his career because he was doing monkey stuff when he was a child. So like, he's been on this forever and a day, and it looks great. It looks fantastic. I mean, it looks better than 95% of the fake monkeys that you see in things. That's for sure.
Sure.
It was good enough for the time. I don't want to go singing its praises too high, but it was good enough.
It's not the CGI monkeys in the new Apes movies, but it's better than it's different from Tim Burton's because they're not trying to make it a person or anything. So I can't.
You also don't want to lean too far into making it seem real, because then it's not funny anymore.
Yeah, because then this something's really getting him. This we're just implying rape. That's all we're doing.
Yes, there's implied rape right now, and listen, we all know how funny implied rape is, but
especially when it's against a bad dude and a horny gorilla. It makes sense.
Dwayne T. Robinson deserves it. Am I right? So
the gorilla is what makes it funny. If it was a human in the cage, it wouldn't be funny.
Well, but what I'm saying is that but if you made the gorilla too realistic, it's also not funny. Like, you have to have at least some make believe in that cage, or otherwise it is a goddamn nightmare.
Because here's the thing, in this movie, if this gorilla rapes him, then he will cuddle him afterwards.
Right, exactly.
Because
it's clearly somebody in a costume.
The other one would just rip him in half once he was done.
I like how Al Franken knows what the gorilla looks like when he's horny, because he only met this gorilla when he was delivered at the station, and he says, oh boy, he looks horny. And then he says, should we get this something out? And he says, nah, let him have their fun.
I miss the days when Franken is like the young guy on SNL, and listen, we're just gonna have you play the stoner every time.
Yeah,
you and
weirdo
your writing
burnout
partner Tom Davis. just go out there and just play the stoner, and listen, you're gonna be great in it. We already know it because you already talk slow already. It'll be amazing, and it is. And I really miss that time, because now he doesn't have that speed in him anymore.
He's got a great goofy looking face.
Yes, he does.
He just does. It contorts in just a little strange way. He's not an ugly man, but he's an odder looking man for sure.
Yes, he kind of looks like a handsome duck.
Yeah. That's a very good explanation. Just because his lips are kind of going out and everything. You go, huh? There's a lot of that going on. It look very duck-esque, if you will.
I don't know if I go so far as to say handsome, but I see the duck part.
Yeah.
I was being nice. We're
just trying, listen, the man
man's a former senator, for God's sake.
He got fired for grabbing some boobs. We let him go. Come on. There's some things that can just be
Little
forgiven.
did we know there was way worse down the road. I don't mean with Franken. Oh, listen, it gets way, way worse.
Maybe we should have
just
pumped the
let
brakes.
this guy have a pass, maybe.
Wasn't Franken elected by the same people who voted for Jesse Ventura?
That's true, actually.
He sure was.
It's like same time, same state.
Yeah.
I do like how money works in this thing after we get the run on everything. These guys lose all of their money and stuff. But I like it's like you have to pay at the end of the day. What's that? You can't pay? Well, guess what? We're taking all of your assets right now. In fact, give me that jacket because that's how money works.
But that is margin call. Like that's why it's futures and not.
Oh, okay. But same time,
that's what made the whole GameStonk thing such a big deal. Is all these people had positions that they were going to get margin calls on, and they were bitter that Robinhood was letting the bill be run up to a point that it was going to bankrupt them.
Right.
It's still like
but
that.
One thing I like about this is even though there's insider trading going on in things that aren't commodities, when it comes to a commodity, it's a lot easier to grasp. Bumper harvest, you pay less per orange. Bad harvest, you pay more for orange. It's a little bit trickier to understand, like artificially driving up a stock price when it's something like GameStop. But with a commodity, there's an actual science to what it's worth. Unlike, the other stock market, I think it's all just how much you can convince people it's worth.
Voodoo.
Also, I mean, there's something inherently funny about using pork bellies and frozen orange juice, right? Like there's something actually funny about that. And I can't explain it to you.
I think pork bellies was a trope for a while, like in the 50s, 60s, 70s, maybe a little bit into the 80s. And it's probably an apocryphal story, but I had been told that the origin of that when Al Capone was on trial for his tax evasion, what actually sent him to prison. They asked him where all his money came from, and he said pork bellies.
That can make sense. We get through all there. The bad guys are punished, and it's a great 80s ending because we're on an island paradise now. It's like, because that's how you just got to end it. But I do love, my favorite part of the movie is Coleman now has his own servant.
Yeah.
So much fun. I love that. It's just like, oh, my boy's worked up in the world. That's pretty great.
You've really made it when your butler can afford a butler.
My butler's got a butler.
It's pretty great.
And on a yacht and everything, which is awesome. I'm still confused, though, why he would take the Jamie Lee Curtis character.
Say what?
I'm confused why the Jamie Lee Curtis character would be coming along on this adventure afterwards.
She made an equal cut in the profits. She pitched in for the capital.
She's half the capital.
Oh, that's true.
And they are they are guilty of insider trading, so they may want to be somewhere without an extradition treaty with the U.S.
It's kind of the most 80s movie when you think about it that way. It's just like, hey, we got away with our insider trading. It's the 80s, everybody.
The good guys in the movie succeeded by doing the exact same crime the bad guys were doing, but faster.
So
there was that greed personality in the 80s.
So I'm doing a little bit of due diligence. You're actually
one more second. Hold
doing on. In this movie. There, okay.
Start on with due diligence again, then we kind of robot it out for a moment.
Okay, so in order to do my diligence watching this movie, I looked this up, and what Aykroyd and Murphy are doing, like legitimately, the maneuver they do on this floor is now illegal. And the name of that rule is called the Eddie Murphy rule because of this movie, which I just find amazing.
I love that.
Whenever you're dealing with like an insider trading thing now, it is called the Eddie Murphy rule. I just find that incredible, man. I mean, that is the red state from Office Space huge to me. They stopped making the red stapler and then they brought it back because it's the same thing to me.
I did read that this movie was also discussed pretty extensively before the Dodd-Frank bill was passed, which is, all the Wall Street reform kind of stuff.
Right. And the other thing that I looked up is Valentine and Winthrop's scheme. When you add it up, they end up making $252 million with their final year, which is roughly $650 million now.
Woo. Not a bad return.
So pretty good.
Better than that $5 tip.
All right, now.
So pretty good.
If we had to recast this film, you got one more?
Hold on.
Sorry.
Hold on. I've got so many notes, man.
Okay. You got to hear the notes.
So please let me rip through this. So I don't know about you guys, but I had always heard that because of this movie, Aykroyd was either like halfway through writing or had already completed Ghostbusters, and that the Winston role in Ghostbusters, he originally wrote it for Eddie Murphy. And what we believed forever was that the reason why Eddie Murphy didn't take that role is because of Beverly Hills Cop, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what I had heard forever. And everything about that sentence is true of Eddie Murphy's going to be Winston. It doesn't come out till much, much later that the reason why Eddie Murphy doesn't take the job isn't because of Beverly Hills Cop. And so, and this story comes out maybe 10 years ago that these two things didn't line up. That was just the excuse so that, nobody looked bad in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
However, after I had heard that, I always thought that the reason why Eddie Murphy didn't take the role was because it was too small a role. That's also not the case, because those are the roles that Eddie Murphy got. Like constantly he's getting like screenplays for stuff where they're like, listen, this might be funny if instead we put Eddie Murphy in it, those are the kind of scripts he's getting at that point. The reason why Eddie Murphy doesn't take the Winston role in Ghostbusters is because he read the Ghostbusters script and he's like, oh, this is complete horseshit. I'm not going to be in this, because he couldn't understand it. And he regrets it to this day, because he's like, can you imagine if I was in Ghostbusters and in Beverly Hills Cop in the same year?
Oh, man.
If he is Winston, that role gets bigger. I don't see any way
without
that the
a
role
doubt,
doesn't get bigger. But also I have such fond memories of Ghostbusters. I don't want to mess up that chemistry. So I'm glad things worked out the way they did.
It would have brought it up to such a level, though, man. Like, it would have changed everything. It would have brought the comedy to the movie in yet another level. Like, it would have changed everything, I think.
I don't know what would have happened with Bill Murray and Eddie Murphy on the same set, however, because I can't imagine Bill Murray being super psyched that, oh, this guy is taking the scenes away. Because that would have happened. That totally would have happened.
For sure.
And I don't know how well Harold Ramis would have done directing.
I think that would have been okay.
I mean, I get the idea that Eddie's going to be Eddie. You think so?
I think
it's Ivan Reitman.
Get along with some folks.
Yeah.
It's Ivan Reitman who was the director of Ghostbusters.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't know why I thought it was Harold Ramis. I do apologize.
Because he wrote it. He helped to write it.
Yeah.
Another thing is in the behind the scenes doc that they make for this movie, if you believe John Landis, the studio didn't want Dan Aykroyd or Jamie Lee Curtis, but they did want Eddie Murphy, which I find amazing.
About the timeline, but yeah, I think before Beverly Hills Cop, Eddie Murphy isn't considered the guy that opens the movie for you like he was after.
No, he's the one that the studio wanted. They didn't want Aykroyd. Like, they did not want Aykroyd because Aykroyd, they thought that he was an unknown at this point because Belushi has died. And the only movie Aykroyd had done before this one by himself is Dr. Detroit, which completely tanks.
Yeah, not a great box office success story there. So it's more believable. It's so hard to remember the differences between 83 and 88.
Right. And the once prior is out, right? Once he has that really terrible event happen to him where he burns himself. Studio execs are like, they come up to John Landis, and Landis is like, oh man, I thought this was going to be a prior and Wilder movie, and now it's not. And studio executives comes up to John Landis and goes, well, what do you think about casting Eddie Murphy? And Landis's response is, who the hell is Eddie Murphy?
Oh man.
He has no idea who Eddie Murphy is. This movie comes out 1983. In the summer of 1983, does extremely well, which is saying something, because this is the same year that Return of the Jedi and Tootsie comes out, and it does well still. It just incredible to me.
This is beginning a stretch that lasts about 4 or 5 years, where every year just has a crazy amount of classic movies coming out.
Right. Another thing is Siskel and Ebert, right? So Siskel and Ebert both give this movie 2 thumbs up. Siskel said it's the funniest film of the year so far, which tells me that he hadn't they hadn't reviewed on the show Tootsie yet. So like he knows that Tootsie's coming onto their show, and he can't say that Tootsie, he can't review that on the show yet. Mm. So he keeps saying over and over again, the funniest film I've seen this year so far. Like he says it every time.
It was released January 4th, for the record.
And so the next thing is that Ebert says, this movie goes back to movies of the 30s and 40s, like Frank Capra and Preston Sturges, who told stories that became comedic because they had insights into human nature. Come on, Roger Ebert. Boom, 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 Roger Ebert. Amazing. Don Amici, his next movie that he would star in is Cocoon, and he would win the Oscar for it. Last thing is co-writer Herschel Weingrod said that while he was in LA, he would speak to actual traders back in New York who started happy hour very early. And this is exact words. So you can imagine what they were like by 2 p.m. my time. So good, man. Those are my notes. Sorry.
That's all right. Yeah. Now, if we had to recast this role, I think we've heard the obvious choice because with our possible Wilder and why is my brain taking a nap?
Pryor.
Woo! We're getting on in years here, everybody. Outside of those, do you have anybody else that you might recast in this one? I've got an odd one because, again, Eddie's going to be one of the really tough ones to kind of replace within any of these roles because he's quite the singular type person. So I, again, went in kind of the opposite direction that would change the entire bit of the movie, but maybe in an odd way could make things funny. I said Yaphet Kotto. Sure, he's 44 years old and at the time nary a comedic bone in his body, but, there you go. Why not?
Make it super serious.
It's
going
way
in a
serious.
Slightly different direction. I don't know if he was still alive in 83 or if he was dead by then, but you could maybe have like Freddie Prinze, not Freddie Prinze Jr., but Chico from Chico and the Man.
That's a good question.
That's not bad.
83, he might still be alive then, man.
Yeah, I'm not sure when he died.
Yeah, that's like super close to around there.
It's in the neighborhood.
For Aykroyd, I don't have anybody I'm always going to make the joke of Byron Allen because of the Saturday Night Live thing,
Yeah.
I was thinking Garrett Morris for the same reason.
But
Garrett Morris could have something because Garrett Morris could play like a really he'd play a more acerbic kind of homeless guy that then gets turned he'd do it something interesting. At least it wouldn't be this role.
He'd be okay in it. I think that what the problem is that Garrett Morris he's completely coked out of his mind in the early 80s.
And even when he's not, he's kind of a jerk.
What about Charlie Murphy? Was he an option?
Yeah, you could put Charlie Murphy
Charlie
in there.
Murphy's probably 17 when this thing is happening.
Probably.
So I don't, if you think Eddie looks
he was
young.
a writer for Pryor, so he's right there. He's answering the phone while Pryor's phone hands are burned.
I think, but I do have good recasting for Aykroyd, different role, but I think that you could still have sort of kind of the same movie.
If you could buy it with an older person, I'd kind of like to see Ted Knight.
Oh my God.
Ted Knight getting kicked out on the street and having to learn to live in the bad side of town.
Hey, are you trying to tell me I have to eat out of a dumpster?
God, man.
What would Cosmic Cow do?
Talk about something where when I was a child, I didn't understand just how amazingly good that guy is in that movie. Where he's the bad guy, I hate that guy. And then when you're an adult, you're like, oh, he's legitimately the funniest part of this movie.
I think Dustin Hoffman would have crushed it.
Oh my God, get out of here with this.
No.
Oh, you're talking about Tootsie, so I just wanted to
Go put
say, imagine if Dan Aykroyd is Tootsie and Dustin Hoffman is.
I would tell you
Louis
this:
Winthrop
Dustin Hoffman would be eaten up alive by Eddie Murphy.
Oh my God.
It would like
be
you have to have somebody like Aykroyd that can bounce off and stuff like that. Only somebody like that could survive off the side
Robin
of Eddie.
Williams.
Oh, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I, as you guys know, I am not a Robin Williams fan, but I think that he would be great in that role. Yes,
He could do.
But
Yeah,
it
he'd
might
do
be a
something
little
with
too much going off the script and spitting fast thoughts at each other. Too.
Yeah,
it
you
could
need
turn
more.
into
You need one
hard to
guy
follow.
doing that, not two, for sure.
Mm-hmm. No, but I thought you were saying Robin Williams for the Eddie Murphy part.
Oh,
well,
no, I was saying for the Dan Aykroyd part
Ah.
because then you got two of the same people playing both parts.
He could
I
have
see.
done the Murphy part though. Yeah, that would have been that also would have been an interesting choice. Maybe not the best one, but an interesting choice. Well,
Nick Nolte, I liked him in 48 Hours.
just bring him back for this one. All right, let's get
42-year-old Nick Nolte in this movie.
He's one of them young bucks. All right, so this second Eddie Murphy movie, we got to get it down here. What is your rating and recommendation for this, Bruce?
So we're going the 5-star system.
That's
right?
correct.
All right, so I'll give this one a solid 5, man. This is one of the best comedies ever made. I really wouldn't change anything about it. You know, I make fun of the gorilla rape scene, but I wouldn't take it out, unfortunately for me, I guess. But yeah, this is 5
We're going to put that one on his gravestone. The gorilla rape scene. I wouldn't take it out.
This is top line comedy.
Sean?
Yeah, this is 5 stars, man. This is a secret 5-star movie. Like, this is one of those movies that if you watch this movie when you're a kid, you think you know what this movie is. Watch it again now. It is a banger. It is a banger. Like, remember last week when I was telling you, Portress, that I was like, you know, you think the soundtrack to 48 Hours is bad. Wait till we get to Trading Places. The Trading Places soundtrack is like, it's all classical music.
Yeah,
It's
there's
perfect.
there's classical
Marriage of-
bits that they steal and stuff like that. The only thing that they do is, oddly enough, they've got the longest version of Locomotion by Little Eva that's ever existed. I'm like, how is
True.
this song still going on? This is a 2-minute song.
Did
True.
you run across in your research, Sean, the reason for the classical music? It's all from the Marriage of Figaro.
No.
It's an opera about basically a servant, a butler who has a fiance. His wealthy master is trying to sleep with his fiance, so he finds a way to take all the wealth away from his master and to himself. So it's that same kind of
God,
theme,
that's
straight
so
up-
clever, man. That is ingenious.
Yeah, it's great.
Clever writing.
That music
It's a 5-star,
supervisor
man.
made that money. Nice, a solid 4-star for me. Part of it is a little bit of the music. Outside of the classical notes, which are good and everything, it's like it was lacking a little something else, and especially from Landis that had so much good music in so many of his films and stuff. I thought it was weird that Little Eva was like really kind of the only needle drop in everything. Not that took off a whole star, mind you, but no, I really do enjoy this movie. If you listen to the Dinger Zone, it made that top 5 list here and everything for Landis movies. So I do certainly enjoy it.
Was it the homophobia and the racism that dropped at a store?
Oh no, that actually bumped it up from 3 to 4. Was that
The
I get
blackface.
it. I get it. This isn't even like unintended racism. This is like
it's some blatant.
full on in your face classic racism. Mwah! Good job, guys.
It's that
Days
80s
when the hard
racism.
R- the days when white guys would say the hard R on camera.
Man.
That's a kind of 80s racism you can eat with a fork. You know, it's just nice
Man,
and thick.
you're not kidding. That's some long duck dong type racism right there, boys. Good job. Go home. We did it again.
It's back when the racism was pure.
Oh, so good. Just like my mom made.
Exactly, just like Grandma used to make.
Actually, my grandmother was
gold
racist, so I could totally say that.
Well, we keep trucking along here in Eddie Murphyville. Bruce, up next is your choice, my friend, and we didn't discuss it before the air, so we're doing it right now. Sorry that we had to spring it on you in this particular fashion, but what 80s Eddie Murphy movie that we're going for? Don't pick Sean's.
Okay. Oh boy, because now I am on the spot. My thought would have been the Golden Child, but I don't know if that fits for you guys or not.
Oh, you totally can choose that one.
All
Okay,
right.
The Golden Child. I've only seen it once. I saw it in the theaters. I liked it as a youngster. I'll see if I like it now.
If I'm not mistaken, this is a weird thing. I'm not going to get it, just so I'm bracing everybody. But I do believe The Golden Child just came out on 4K.
Get out of here. Really?
I shit you not. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
There's so many movies that aren't on 4K, and they chose The Golden Child.
My guess is it came at a very cheap price.
Wow.
That's a guess.
My second choice would have been Best Defense, but I think The Golden Child's probably a better movie.
Best Defense. He's in it for like 5 minutes.
I know. That's why I think The Golden Child. It's at 86, 1986, one that I feel like a lot of people probably haven't seen, so we might find some interesting.
I only ever remember seeing just moments of it on like network television way back in the day. So it's gonna be a good one. So we'll check all that out, everybody.
I want the knife.
Yes.
That will do it for this episode. Again, we'd like to thank everybody that's joined us in the live chat here at Everything for this show. We really appreciate all you guys stopping by. If you haven't seen it and you weren't able to join us live and everything, you can always check that out over on our YouTube page. The link is there in the show notes. And as well as I'm doing a whole bunch of live streams and stuff throughout the week, doing React stuff. I'm doing other things, and it's a little fun time. I got a tier list up that my nephew put his seal of approval on. Now he's 10, so that'll do with that what you will, but he liked it. He thought it was a good thing, so maybe you should too. Check out all those things over at our YouTube page and everything. Bruce, what else you want to plug?
Just go to YouTube and check out Werewolf Fighter. It's a award-winning extended short film that I made with my family. Closing in on 2 years ago now. Go check it out. It's fun. It's 38 minutes long.
Sean, what's your favorite dessert?
Oh, how do you choose?
I don't. Here's why.
Pistachio ice cream.
Hey, listen, that's a top-notch choice right there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait, hold on, ladies and gentlemen. Just before the end of the show, hot damn, we got a super chat we got a super chat, aka Portress Bucks from Alex that dropped in a good old $5 on us. I don't even think he said anything, but God bless you, Alex.
Thank you, Alex. We're going to go spend that on some Bananas Foster.
You betcha, boy. And we're going to throw it right in the garbage afterwards. Just like this movie. I like that that's what he does. He just goes, so you can have it. And then he throws it right in the garbage. What a great little bit there. So again, thank you to all the folks that joined us over there in the live chat and everything like that. That will do it for this episode of HMP. Join us next week when our June Patreon selection 80s. I really wrote myself into a corner with this one.
Man, I don't know why you did that to you.
80s Eddie Murphy in The Golden Child. For Sweet Sean Kovacs from the internet, Bruce Leslie, I'm Adam Portress, reminding you dirty babies to go watch some movies.